Deer Camp 86. I definitely know I was not in Deer Camp in 86 or in any other year, so it doesn't really matter. Camp, probably not either, especially after seeing Friday the 13th. No camp, no Deer Camp. That's it. But let's find out what happens at Deer Camp 86. Maybe it was a good time after all. I don't know. Let's see here with the IMDb plot. In the fall of 1986, six knuckleheads from Detroit traveled north to partake in the annual tradition of deer hunting. But something horrific has been awakened, and the hunters become the hunted. All right, the hunters become the hunted. Maybe by the deer. That would be interesting. Maybe the deer. Have we done that? I think we need to do that. Maybe the deer flipping around and do some hunting. We can do that. I think we just recently saw a zombie kangaroo movie, and that was okay. So we need to see some deer do some hunting. But no, this one is non-mutated zombie deer coming back. This is something else going on here. Let's say that this is one of those films that I was not, thinking to see, didn't know anything about. Kind of part of my, scroll through Tubi and hopefully land on a movie that I can make it through kind of routine. And, so that is kind of where I saw this. I believe it is on a couple of other streaming services too, in case you're not watching Tubi. So I think it is out there for you guys to find. It does say that it's 2022, but this is the first I'm kind of seeing it. So with that, I'll still kind of be fairly spoiler free, because it was certainly new to me. There is definitely a twist at the end, with what ultimately is happening here. So I will keep that a secret in case you guys haven't seen it and are still interested in seeing it. I will say, as this movie kind of opens and starts, and we are kind of introduced to these six knuckleheads, it was trending in the direction of me saying, I'm not watching these knuckleheads. I'm turning this off. I don't know. I don't remember specifically if there was something that got me really to keep it on, or I just left it on because I wasn't in the mood to turn it off. But I continued on. Again, we're going to get an introduction early on to these six characters, different personalities, their interaction amongst themselves. I think some of them are probably better hunters than not. I think all but one of them, was at least done this before, or at least, was interested in deer hunting or okay at it. So, early on, you're going to kind of get that introduction to them and see who they are, their interactions with each other. They're going to stop at a bar. They're going to get in a bar fight because they're knuckleheads, and that's what you do. They're also going to get introduced to some locals and so forth, and you'll see that before they eventually move on, land in the place that they're going to as their cabin, their home base for this hunting trip. And everything seems kind of fine at first. They're gonna try to hunt. They talk about the tradition of what they do when they first get the first kill. Obviously, there's a lot of explaining to the one guy who's not really done too much of this before, and so forth, until things kind of take that kind of turn where, are they alone out there or not? Is somebody out there playing a trick on them? It's not. No, Jason is not out there in the woods this time. Apparently he has nothing against deer, so he could have been out there protecting the deer. That would have been an interesting take on Friday the 13th. But No, we're, is it, the people from the bar? Did they do something? Because of the fight and so forth. So we're gonna get kind of a little bit of that until it builds a little bit, and then we find out, there's something else, more to it. And I'm thinking about the best way to say this without totally spoiling it. So we'll say a minor spoiling here of it, even though I promised at the beginning not to spoil it. I won't give it away, what is I guess it's going to kind of give you a hint, but whatever it is, this was on Tubi. Give me a break for this one. I will say that whatever it was, in a way, reminded me of Predator in a way. I think, if you watch it, maybe you'll get that same kind of vibe. It's obviously not Predator. But for whatever reason, it just gave me that vibe and it gave me that feel. So if you guys catch this and you eventually, go through it and get to the point where you see what is happening here, if you agree with me or not, or kind of get that vibe, again, it is obviously not Predator, but I don't know, there was just something in the feel of it that kind of reminded me of it in some ways. Again, it's clearly, I know it's not Predator and so forth. Obviously, it's something else going on here. But I just couldn't help, especially, the last Predator that we just saw, about it. So, like, when we first kind of get introduced to what is happening, I just couldn't help think of that. I don't know. Which made it actually good, which made it better than I thought, when I thought, what, was out there after them and haunting them and so forth. And I should say not hunting them. I guess it was better than what I could have thought, and actually turned out better than I thought. Once, they start getting picked off, I thought it was pretty good. So while you might have to sit through, again, a slow start, slow introduction to them, maybe a little bit of guy silliness in there. There's one guy who's completely nuts. He was apparently and he's a vet, and he's a little bit crazy, a little bit off with him. So you have a different mix of characters here. I think, there's an interesting scene. One of them's going to get injured. Then there's one that runs his mouth a lot, but, at the end of the day, if he has to do something, he's going to do it, maybe in the best way or not. So there's a little bit of an interesting mix of characters there, especially once things start, going really bad, to see kind of how they react to things. Again, I liked what was going on. I liked the thing that ultimately ended up hunting them. I liked the little bit of a twist. You can argue that maybe it's a little bit dramatic. Maybe I wanted it to, once it's unveiled and you kind of see, the reasoning and what happened there, it kind of, everything, comes full circle. You see why them, why there. So it will explain itself. It is not completely random and so forth. Everything will have an explanation. I guess I was fairly okay with everything except for maybe one thing which I thought was a little dramatic and was just like, no, why can't we just have the full good horror ending? But we kind of had to leave the little bit of niceness there. And sometimes I don't like when they have that little niceness at the end. I've argued a lot that horror should be horror. We should have a full horror ending. It doesn't have to have good stuff at the end. And, it left after it finally got to the thing and we're killing some of them and then you see the reasoning, whatever, like we got a chance to go full horror and be all bad. And we had to leave a glimpse of that. But they do make it up for it a little bit. and then kind of give you that poor ending that you might have expected, or maybe you didn't expect, at least in this case. So, yes, being very vague with what I just said there at the end, trying to keep it spoiler free. Um, I guess, overall, I like the ending. One small thing I didn't like, not going to change, my view on it totally in a negative way. Um, I think at the end of the day, the six guys were interesting enough. Maybe again a slow start with them, but at the end of the day, they ended up being okay. I think certainly some of them stand out more than others, but again a decent mix. Um, I liked a little bit of the twist and turns of what they do at the end, and unveil what is really going on here and so forth. So yeah, this is going to be a Tubi one, and like I said, this is on Tubi, but I think in a couple of places that I'm glad I watched, and glad that I left it on long enough to enjoy, and enjoyed it enough to give it 3 pools of blood out of 5. Really, knew nothing about, no expectation, no nothing, completely expecting to turn it off, at a certain point. But glad I didn't. So I think if you can make it through the point of when, whatever's hunting them is that starts happening, I think you'd be okay. It is, a little bit of talking and blah, blah, blah. And, there is an important thing or two that happens early on that you can need. And it's not even a full hour and a half. So it's not like you have to sit through too much. But, there is, some of those guy moments there and whatever, blah, blah, early on. But, yeah, I think if you can get to the point where they go from being the hunters to the hunted, I think you can kind of enjoy that and enjoy the little bit of twists and turns they have at the end and what ultimately happens. Is it anything earth-shattering? No, it's not. I think some of the twist there you might expect in some way, some form or the other. So, is it completely a surprise? No, but still good enough in how they unfolded and did it and so forth. So, again, that is going to be 3 pools of blood out of 5 for this one. So horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews written in video. Certainly mostly video ones for a while now. So you can like and subscribe and do everything else that everybody wants you to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries. It's truly okay. I appreciate you stopping in whenever you can. If this is your first video, other videos, whatever. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. Appreciate likes and follows there. If you want to talk horror, this one, other ones, definitely in the comments section. If you eventually catch this one, what do you think? What do you think of the twist and turn there at the end? Or maybe you wanted to turn it off, or maybe you would have preferred to have the deer be the killer and deers go around killing the hunters. Which I also say would have been a fun movie, or hopefully a fun movie as well. So maybe we'll get to see that one day as well. So with that, guess I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.